And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at On the Origins of Species, which is detailing Charles Darwin's trip on the HMS Beagle as you catalog different species. Now this is an Artana game. Artana was recently, last year, maybe the year before, bought by Genius Games. I love Genius Games. Artana games I always had a problem with to some degree because I felt like they were very strong historically, but they were not necessarily always fun games. But I hope that the merger here helped a bit. This is a game in which you are basically kind of collecting resources and using those resources to discover new species, and those species then help you find more species. You'll see. It's a fairly simple game, even though the board looks a little complex. In this game, players are trying to get points. They're going to be keeping track of these points with a little turtle here. And there's going to be 4 scoring cards. You're going to place 1, 2, and 3 here. Each scoring card on it has a date. And so that date is going to show you where to put the anchor. And as the ship is going to be moving along this track here, when it hits one of those, that's when that scoring will occur. And each scoring is different. You'll score points, like for example, this one here will give you points based on resources you have in first, second, and third place. There's also a final scoring card that's at the very end. And these scoring cards will change from game to game. There's a whole deck of different scoring cards. The level 0 scoring card just shows where the initial 3 tiles are placed on the board. Now on your turn, you have 2 options. You can research or discover a new species. When you research, you simply put 2 cubes on the board. You can put them on the same tile or different tiles. The resources that are shown on those tiles you now have. And this is going to matter when you put a new species into play, which is the other action. When you do that, you can pick any tile from here, except the top 3 you can only pick if you have a map. So maybe I'll take the ant. Why would I take this ant? Because it simply needs 1 green resource, 1 leaf. And I have one here. I would remove that cube and place this adjacent to here. Now that I put this ant out, I'll draw a new tile here, and I rearrange these because these are rearranged from lowest to highest with the turtles. Now this is going to, people can put resources on top of the ant. Also, I get rewards. First of all, I get 1 point. Then I get to draw a green card, and the ship moves forward 1. So you can see at level 1, but the level 2, you'll see first of all, this becomes a double green resource, but this gives me 2 points. I draw a green card and a ship card. And they're going to go all the way up to the level 4s here, where you can see this one here will let me draw 2 cards that are blue or yellow. I could draw 2 blues, a blue and a yellow, or 2 yellows. 4 points, and the ship moves forward 2. The level 4s have no resources on them, while the level 3s, like if I have a cube on this one, this counts as 2 blues and a yellow. If I have 2 cubes on it, it counts as 4 blues and 2 yellows. So you can see they're pretty cool. Also, you can replace a weaker species with a stronger one. So later on, I had the opportunity, I could replace this seagull, could replace the ant, if that happened. You can even replace these, but if these are replaced, they just get moved to another spot on the board. So the 3 starting tiles will always be around on the board somewhere. Now you're collecting these cards over here. The different cards are going to have various things on them. Sometimes they'll give you some resources you can use to build something in the future, and sometimes they give you books of their color, which provide endgame scoring. In this particular case, at the end of the game, I get 3 points for every set of 3 different color books I have. And in each of these decks, you can see there's various sets of books. There is a map, which is the only way to take the tiles from the top here. The ship cards, you can take one of the 3 face-up ones when you take one, or from the deck. These give all kinds of special abilities, like here's one of every book. This is literally 3 points in this particular game. And different things that you can do, and again, another map. So there's all kinds of things that you can find. And at the end of the game, when the ship reaches its final destination, whoever has the most points is the winner. There is an advanced variant where each player will draw one of each scoring card, at the beginning of the game, but they're ignoring the scoring. They're just looking at the species, and they are trying to replace that species to take that tile and put it in front of them for bonus points at the end of the game. There's also a family game where you basically play with no cards, although I can't imagine that one being any good at all. I really like the art on the tiles. I don't have a problem with the resources. I like how the tiles, they flip over, so this turns into 2 yellow and a green. My only complaint here about these would be the fact that I had to look up every single card because we could never remember what all the different characters do. The symbology on the different characters is simply not clear at all. But other than that, I don't mind. It's a pretty looking board. Maybe, I mean, the cubes and the little turtles are nice, the scoring things. They're cute little turtles. I don't know that I like that the dates are used here. Yeah, historical accuracy. He was here from 924 to 925. That's fine, except that's where I need to put these turtles and things, and it can get a little wonky finding those. They're not... I don't know, I just found it. And also, the arrows where the ship moves are not really clear on the board. So they had, they're pushing for historical accuracy here, I think a little bit at expense of visual aids. But other than that, I thought everything was pretty easy to understand. It's a smallish game, but it comes in a nice package, and the rules were pretty easy to understand. The game rules, when I read them, I thought, this sounds pretty cool. But the gameplay itself left me feeling slightly flat. And there's a couple reasons for that. I'm just going to start by saying the most egregious problem I have with this game is the map. I really dislike the map. It's so powerful, and if there's a card out there that gives you the map, let's say it's one of the face-up cards, someone is going to grab that right away. That literally doubles the amount of things that you can build. And if you don't get a map, your end game is severely handicapped. At the end of the game, if you cannot be drawing from the good, big, giant tiles at the top that score a lot of points and give a lot of benefits, you're kind of out of the game. Yes, there are maps in the different decks, but you may not get one. And the map is also not a one-time use. It's permanent. It is overpowered as far as I can tell, and that one thing would keep me from approving this game because I just found it to be so problematic. Now, in the rest of the game, it's an interesting concept I've not seen before, where you're putting cubes on tiles, which become like resources, whatever the tile is, and then you use those to build another animal, and then that gives you different things. And so there's some interesting ideas there. But as the game goes by, it progressively just becomes a little rote. Where should I put my cubes? Well, where there's a lot of resources to build a tile. And with more players, half the time you're going to put out these cubes and someone's going to build the thing you want. And then the only tile you can afford is either in the map cards, which you may not have one, or there's just these boring little tiles down there. And so this can couple to a couple things. First of all, it is definitely a rich get richer style game in a little bit, because if you get a lot of resources, you get more cards, which allow you to get more things, and somebody can easily fall behind. And secondly, as the game goes by, it gets less interesting, especially once you start building the 4 tiles, because they don't produce resources. So the game kind of grinds a little bit, and it just isn't that exciting. Now, I played the advanced variant because I thought, hey, let's try it with the secret animals. And that's a little more interesting, but also because sometimes it's better to replace an animal. Someone can replace your animal without knowing that it's yours, just to take points from you, or it doesn't really matter. Again, you don't have a lot of control over that, or your animal tile may never show up. And so I want to like this game. It feels like a good idea. It feels really cool, a lot of the ideas, and maybe some people will enjoy it, but I found that it dragged a bit. And I need a game that's a little bit more peppy, a game that has a little bit more excitement in it. And then that coupled with that map thing, which just drove me bonkers. When I got a map, I felt guilty. When I didn't get a map, I felt irritated and frustrated. I think a second edition to this might be fantastic. Who knows? As for now, it still suffers from that Artana development that I've noticed over the years, where again, when you go through this, it's like, yes, lots of historical stuff in here. but I'm here to play a good game too. See, Genius Games, the folks who make this, that tends to be their bread and butter. They take topics that I might normally find somewhat boring, scientific topics, and they make really fun games. So hopefully we'll see that seep into future Artana games as time goes by with the collaboration. I don't think it's quite there yet. This is not a bad game. I didn't dislike playing it, except for the frustration with the map. But it's not one that I'd want to play again because I felt like there's just something missing. Anyway, I'm Tom Vasel. This is On the Origin of Species on the Dice Tower. Dice Tower judgment, okay, but needs some more excitement.